Good afternoon, students. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Hmm. So, last time our lab was not conducted because that was a holiday. Two lab sessions. So, we were doing NS2 wala experiments. Okay. So that NS2, if it is working in Ubuntu, it's good for you. Otherwise, I told you you can use that Red Hat machine. Anyway, you have to configure that Red Hat machine because for one experiment, we need two machines because we are going to log in from one machine to another machine. Okay, and there is one more experiment on this Ubuntu, sorry, no, NS2, but that we will not do today because for that you should know what is the routing protocol. Okay, so that routing protocol is not covered yet in the theory. So once we'll finish those routing protocol theory part, then we'll perform experiment on that NS2 on routing protocol. So today we are going to do experiment. One is the experiment which is based on that packet analysis using Wireshark. In that guest lecture, sir gave you demo about that Wireshark tool. So we are going to do that one experiment. Another experiment we are going to perform telnet, remote login from one machine to another machine. Okay, so we'll finish these two experiments. Uh, okay, so I hope your virtual machines are ready. Uh, at least one machine. So that Wireshark, is everyone ready? We can start the experiment straight away now. Yes, everyone's
Yes.
machine is ready now. Okay, okay. So this for Wireshark, you can use any machine. You can use Ubuntu or you can use Red Hat. Okay, I'm going to use Ubuntu. Okay, let me share my screen. And I request all of you to note down the commands because it may be like sometime your machine is lagging, sometime my machine is lagging, or there's some network issue, so that you can note down those commands what we are going to perform. Okay. So this is my Ubuntu machine. It's a bit slow because two virtual machines are running and this Meet is running and my PC is not so hi-fi PC. It's old PC, that old laptop I'm using. So that's why. Okay. Okay. In both the machines, in Ubuntu and in this Red Hat, in both the machines, Wireshark is already installed. So on this Word document, I'm just writing the commands to install this Wireshark. Okay, if your machine, these both machines, if you have configured these virtual machines, in that it is already installed. But if this is not installed, then how to install how to install Wireshark. So Wireshark, basically you can say this is a packet analysis or packet capturing tool. We can run this in the background and we can assign that interface. On that interface, it will continuously capture all the packets. And for that, all your this interfaces should be in promiscuous mode, means it should not observe. And whatever data you are transmitting and whatever data you are receiving, it is just capturing those packets and storing all the header parts of those packets what we are transmitting and all the data packets we are transmitting. So later on what we can do, we can capture all the packets and we can analyze. So this is used for security purpose also. Suppose in my office I have 1000 machines, and somebody made my machines as a bot to attack, to perform attack on some other machines. Because when you want to perform attack on some network or some other machines, that time your single machine is not sufficient. If you want to make their network down, like if you want to perform those attack or that sort of attack, so for that, what generally attackers do, they take control of some other unprotected machines, and those machines they make them as a bots, and from those bots they continuously attack, continuously send the information so that server will be down. Okay, and I want to know like what type of packets are going through my machine, what type of packets are coming to my machine. Is some suspicious packets coming into my network, is somebody else using my machine? And sometimes attacker also use these things. See, this is a very basic and simple tool what we are discussing. Attackers use a different hi-fi type of tools also, but this is just a basic tool. See, sometimes what happens, you just want to know what type of information is going on. Even if it is encrypted, it doesn't matter. Suppose two military headquarters, some headquarter, our military headquarter in the Delhi, and at some point on our border, if they both are continuously interacting, sending some messages, that information itself is sufficient that something is going on that post, and they are why they are continuously sending and contacting at headquarters. So sometimes that sort of information is also sufficient to understand the what next action they are going to take. Okay, so there are different steps in the hacking and attacking. So this information, this tool can be used to gather the information. So this you can say packet analysis or packet capturing tool. This is GUI based. For there is a tool which is available on the command base, that is a TCP dump. Okay, so that is a command based tool for the same purpose. Okay, now how to install Wireshark in Ubuntu? You have to give command apt-get install Wireshark. Okay, and in Red Hat we have to give command uh, uh, yum install Wireshark. Now you don't have to give these commands because the Wireshark is already installed. Now what is the step one to use this Wireshark? Open one terminal on Ubuntu, right click and open one terminal, and in terminal give command Wireshark. Just give command Wireshark. Okay, so when you will give this Wireshark command, don't close the terminal. When you will give this command Wireshark, a Wireshark window will open. Okay, so that window will be like this. Okay, so this window will open like this. This is a Wireshark GUI2. Okay, this is Wireshark GUI2. Then here this will start capturing. You have to start capturing. So when you will start capturing, it will ask for the different interfaces. you have to capture on that Ethernet. I want to capture on the Ethernet interface, and the name of that interface we can find out from ifconfig command. If you give ifconfig command, see here I have given this ifconfig command, and I got this interface name. So this is the interface name, ENS33. Okay, so on in this interface, I want to capture all the packets, incoming and outgoing packets. So here, these packets I have captured. So first I'll explain this content, and then I'll tell you how to capture those packets. You remember, see, these are different types of packets which are captured. So this is DHCP packet which is captured. This is SSDP packets which are captured. And if you go down, see, these are all packets which are transmitted. See, DHCP, then this ICMP v6, then this is ARP packets, and this DHCP, NBNS, ICMP, ARP, DNS, TCP, UDP, all sort of packets which are transmitted from one server to another server. Address, but that on that machine where this Google server is running, my packet should reach there. For that, I need IP address. Okay, so IP addresses are these are stored in the servers. We call them as a DNS servers, domain name servers, and these DNS, they resolve all our IP addresses to the our URLs to the IP addresses. Mm, see, if I have shared my machine, so I can't come and see the chat. I have to come back. So if yeah, oh, I don't know how to extract Red Hat in another drive. Just right click and extract and select the location. Disk is full, message is coming. So how to, one thing is you can directly copy paste it there. Otherwise, when you are selecting extract, then you can select the location. We select generally extract here now. So instead of extract here, you select extract, and then it will ask for you the location. So you can extract there. Okay. So whatever I am telling you, is this clear to you? Na? समझ रहा है ना सबको? Anyone wants to say something? Is there a okay? So here these are different packets which are captured. Okay, and every packet I told you. See, this frame is used on which layer? Frame is used at which layer? These are all headers of different layers, different protocols. So you tell me frame is used at which layer? Then you will understand this is a header of which layer. The data unit name frame is used at which layer? Yes, anyone?
On data link layer.
Data link layer. So it is the header of data link layer. Then we use this internet protocol IPv4. I told you, we discussed in the last lecture. So IPv4 is used at the network layer. Then this UDP is used at the transport layer, and this DNS is used at the application layer. So every layer is adding their headers. So we are going to see the content of those headers. Okay. So these are different types of packets. First, I'll explain this IP protocol, because we have already done this thing IPv4. So you see that first value, if you remember that header format. So the first value is version, so 0100. It means we are using version 4. The next is header length. So header length we are using 20 bytes. So 20 byte is minimum, and 60 byte is maximum. Then a differentiated service. I told you there can be 4 different types of services. So the first service is like you want maximum throughput, you want minimum delay, like that. Okay. So that different services you can choose. Then total length. This total length tells the length of your header plus the data which you are transmitting. So in this you are transmitting 103 bytes of the data plus 20 bytes of header. Okay. Then this identification and these flags, this see here, do not fragment is set. The DF flag is set. So what does it mean if DF flag is set? If DF flag is set, what is the meaning of that? If you remember, there were two types of frames, the two types of flags. Yes, these are very important things, important concepts from your Viva point of view and from your exam point of view. Yes, DF flag is set to 1. What does it mean? Yes, anyone? Yes, no one knows that this answer. If you don't know, at least say no. Yeah, fragmentation is not allowed. Yes, it means do not fragment that this packet, because here in the Ethernet the size, maximum size, how much size it can permit, that 1500 bytes. Okay, so even if it is exceeding that size, then do not fragment. Then time to live, this TTL value is set to 255. So it can visit maximum 255 routers one by one till the time it reaches to the destination. Then higher layer protocol, along with this IP protocol, it is using UDP protocol, and this 17 is a code for that protocol. Then this is a checksum. Header checksum, total of these header values, all values are added together, and this is the sum. Okay. And then source IP address, destination IP address. Okay. Destination IP address. So this is the header of IPv4. Then this, along with this, we are using UDP. So these are the header part of that UDP. Source port number, this is a destination port number, length, then checksum and checksum status. This is the only these four fields are there in UDP header. And this is the data part. This part is the data part of every packet. Then this higher layer protocol is used, and this is the header part of this particular protocol. And here the this uh, second layer at the data link layer. So interface ID, interface name, this is the interface name, I have showed you, ENS33. Then encapsulation type, we are using here Ethernet. Okay. Then this is arrival time, and all these things, echo time, when this is a frame number, and the frame length, capture length, then this, all these values. And then here in Ethernet frame, we are putting, in Ethernet frame we are putting our MAC address. So here source MAC, this destination MAC address, source MAC address, and higher layer protocol, along with this data link layer, higher layer protocol, we are using IPv4. IP will be used with almost all frames. Along with that, you can use any other frame. Okay, along with that, you can use any other frame. Then here, this is related to any frame you check. Okay, so in this you see this ARP is also there. So ARP, can you read here? Who has this IP address? Okay, so ARP is address resolution protocol, which works on, see, if you double click on this now, you will find the detail of this. Okay, so this ARP protocol is used for address resolution. See, you have two identification, your name and your roll number. So I can communicate to you only if I know both the things. Otherwise, I cannot communicate. That is the condition. Yes. Yes. Yes, Mohammed. Yes, Mohammed, you want to say something? Okay, so that is the condition that I can communicate to you only if I know both the things. So if I remember only your roll number, so I can ask in the network in the class like who is roll number 26, then everybody will receive that message, but only the person who is having roll number 26 will respond that ma'am, I am roll number 26 and this is my name. Okay, so this ARP is like that only. If you know the IP address and you want to know the MAC address of that machine, so you can broadcast in the network like who has this particular IP address, and every all the machines in the network will receive that message, but only the machine which is having that machine that MAC address, that IP address, they will respond. Okay, and RARP is the reverse. You remember the MAC address, but you don't know the IP address of that machine. Then you announce like this, who is this? That MAC address. So here, when you send, we transmit. So this is a header format for that. Ethernet type you are using. Along with this, you are using IPv4. Then hardware size is like, this is size of MAC address. And this is a size of IP address. So here IPv4 we are using, so it is a 4 byte, and we are using Ethernet here. So hardware address, the MAC address is of 6 byte. Then we send the request. Request is like who is having this IP address. So here the source MAC address, it is the show source machine which wants to ask about the IP address. So it will tell that this is my MAC IP address, this is my MAC address, this is my IP address, and this is the IP address of the machine to which I want to ask. And here it doesn't know about the MAC address of the source machine, destination machine. So it will put all 0000. When the destination machine will reply that yes, this is my IP and this is my MAC address, so that time that machine will write the machine's IP MAC address here, then source IP address here, and then this MAC address will write here into the destination, and this IP address will write into this target IP address. So this is the ARP protocol. This is how it works. Okay, this is the content of ARP protocol. And this way, there are different, if you are using some other protocol like HTTP, you are using, then different thing will be there. If you are using ICMP, then different packets will be there. See here, you can see TCP. Here we are using TCP protocol. Okay, so in TCP protocol, here you can see this is a header format of TCP. Along with IPv4, we are using TCP. In one, I shown you that is a UDP. So TCP and UDP are the protocol of the transport layer. So source port number, destination port number, and then this sequence number, then acknowledgement number, because TCP is reliable. So it has a sequence number. You remember our data link layer ka sliding window protocol, the sequence and acknowledgement. It will send a whatever data it is transmitting. It will have a sequence number, and the destination machine will reply with the acknowledgement number. So same, these those protocols are used at the transport layer also. Sliding window protocol, same. So that's why we use a sequence number, acknowledgement number, then header length, then flags. These are different flags which are set. There are total 6 flags. This I'll teach you when we'll discuss this frame format in the class. Then window size, checksum, and urgent pointer. If the data is urgent, then we can set this pointer to 0, and options 20 bytes we can, because here also header size is not fixed. Okay, so these are different what we'll say values. Here you can see these flags, how these flags are set. Okay, so these, there are 6 flags plus 2 flags which are not used. Okay, so these are not used. So here you see urgent flag is not set, acknowledgement not set, push not set, reset not set, sin is set. Okay, and then finish flag is not set. Okay, so this sin is used for when we want to establish a connection. Okay, so that time we use this sin flag, and when we want to close that connection, we use this fin flag or finish flag. Okay, so these are the different values you can see here. Okay, for TCP. समझ में आ रहा है? आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू असाइनमेंट ऑन दिस एंड यू हैव टू राइट द आंसर्स फॉर दैट असाइनमेंट. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट you can ask. Experiment I'm helping, I'm explaining what you have to do, but based on that I'm going to give you two assignments, two lab assignments which you have to perform. So if you have any doubt you ask me right now. Okay, so these are the TCP packets which are captured. Okay, so here you can see all different types of packets which are captured. DNS packets captured. So in DNS query, generally when we want to find out that for this corresponding, for this particular URL, what is the IP address? So for this, UDP is used at the transport layer, IPv4 at the network layer, Ethernet at the data link layer, and this at the application layer, this domain name. So this is the header of this particular DNS query. Okay, this is how all values are set. So if you read that, what is the query here? It is asking for this particular address, what is the IP address. Okay, so this is a query and this is like the data part of every packet. Okay, so these are different packets which are captured and their header formats. Now how to capture, is this clear? Ye samajh mein aaya? Should I repeat something in this? The content, this is IP ICMP v6. ICMP is used at the network layer. IP is used at any cost. Whatever you send in the network, you have to use IP. Along with IP, you can use any other protocol. You can use TCP, you can use UDP, you can use uh, ICMP, you can use IGMP. So here we are using ICMP. ICMP is the Internet Control Message Protocol. So here you can see ICMP v6 we are using, and here IP v6 we are using. You see here, in this we are not using IPv4, we are using IPv6. So this is the frame format of this IPv6. So this, when you will study, you see here we are using version 6. This is a flow label, this is a payload length, then next header, and then hope limit, source, destination, all these contents are there. Okay. Then along with this we are using IPv6. So this is the content, the header format of this IP ICMP v6. This is type, code, checksum, reserved bit, then multicast record, and this multicast address record change to this. Okay, so this is the content you can see here. Okay, then IGMP is used for group management for membership requests. So here you can see the content of IGMP. Okay, IGMP. So if you are not understanding these contents now, so what you can do, you can open the header format of this IGMP, and from that header you will be able to find out what are these different values. Okay, so this is DHCP. So for DHCP we generally use this bootstrap protocol. Okay, so this is a bootstrap or DHCP ka header format ka content. Okay. So these are different packets which I have captured. Okay, so let's find out some HTTP also. Okay, so these packets are captured and their corresponding header for every packet which you transmit in a network. Headers of different layers along with the data is transmitted in the network. Okay, so this is what all the packets which I captured. Now how you can capture different types of packets. Okay, so what you have to do, we'll start. I'm telling you step by step what you have to do. Okay, I'm just closing everything. Just quit without saving. Hmm. 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 Okay, open one terminal, close terminal. I'm just telling you step by step how to perform this experiment. right click, open terminal, or directly you can open from there. So open terminal, and here we are on this dollar prompt. We have to become super user. So sudo space hyphen s. Then it will ask for the password for Ubuntu. The password is Ubuntu only. Enter. Now we are on the hash prompt. Here we have to give command Wireshark, and it will start that Wireshark. Okay, so just give this command Wireshark, and it will start the interface of Wireshark. Okay, so Wireshark is started. It is starting Wireshark. So in this, these are different interfaces on which it can capture. I want to in this ENS33, and you can just click start capturing. Now it will start capturing. Whatever you will do on your machine, all the packets transmitted received will be captured. So minimize this Wireshark, minimize the terminal where you open this Wireshark. Do not close it. If you close this terminal, your Wireshark will be stopped. So do not close, just minimize. Right click and open a new terminal. Open terminal. Again here give some commands, sudo space hyphen s, give password Ubuntu, then give command ifconfig, then you can ping any command you can execute. You can ping google.com or any IP address. Okay, so it is pinging. Stop it using control C to capture different types of packet. Again minimize this, then open browser, then on this site, any site you can just open, you can just refresh it, you can open google.com or you can search something, whatever you want to do. Okay, so any site you open. Okay, and you give something on any site, not necessarily you open this site only, even you can open your Gmail, you can open Google. Okay, you can open anything, whatever you are doing on this machine or on this browser will be captured. Okay, google.com. So when I send this google.com, so first my packet will be transmitted DNS packet to find out the IP address of the Google page. Okay, then whatever I'm transmitting using the Google, then HTTPS packet will be used. All these packets are being captured on this Wireshark. Okay, all these packets are being captured. Now you stop capturing. Yes, that's so simple. Then you have captured all these packets. Now you can slowly analyze these packets. Okay, so you can analyze these packets. Okay, so this is a source, this is sending to that some destination machine. Okay, here you can see here all these things I'm transmitting. Okay, so here you can say this is what wherever I send in the that other site I opened, or either this is IP address of that Google wala site. Okay, this is the things. So there this is being source and destination. And when we transmit something, they also respond. Okay, so if I'm sending something to google.com, so google.com is also responding. So when I'm sending, see here from source machine, I'm sending this IP to this IP something, then that machine is replying. So that time the source is that machine and this is destination is my machine. Okay, so then I'm again sending from my machine to this machine, and then again that machine is replying. Okay, so these are the different packets which are captured, and these are the different headers for every packet. See, wherever we use this HTTPS, so there we use this SSL, secure socket layer. Okay, that is safe, secure, for security we use that. All the data which is we transmitted is encrypted. Okay, and wherever we use unsecured application, there your data will not be encrypted. Okay, so this is what all the packets you can capture. So you can capture different packets and you can perform header analysis of these different packets. So this is DNS we use whenever we tried google.com or whatever URL we typed in that browser. So the DNS packet was sent to DNS. Okay, the query was sent, then response received from the DNS. Okay, So these are different packets which are transmitted. Is this clear? Any doubt in this? Should I repeat something? समझ में आया सबको? Yes, anyone has any doubt? Any query? It's working? Okay, very good. Still you are working. Okay. So on this Wireshark and packet analysis, one experiment you have to perform and two lab assignments you have to perform. Okay. And those lab assignments you can do in the group. Okay. One is the question assignment question. There will be three questions. One will be on the ICMP, TCP, and IP. Okay, you have to analyze the content of these different protocol: TCP protocol, IP protocol, UDP protocol, and based on that your analysis, I have given certain questions on those assignments. You have to give answer of those questions, and that report you have to submit in the that report format. Again I'll give, you have to answer those questions in those reports and you have to submit. Okay, the groups we can keep the same as the Python groups because our 10th experiment is again in the group. So in that one group every individual student has to submit that report, but you can work together. Okay, you can discuss, you can work together, you can find out the solutions together, but every individual student have to submit that assignment in a group. For group one will not work. Okay, this is clear. So three questions in assignment and one in experiment, whatever we have done today. So if is this clear to you, then we can proceed for next experiment. Anyone having any doubt in this? You want to ask something? Should I repeat something? Repeat what part you want me to repeat, Shubham? IPv4. Okay. IPv4 part. Here, see this IPv4 part. If you will look at the header of that IPv4, let me open that PPT. I'll show you that PPT part. Mm, yeah. See, you won't be able to answer the questions in the assignment if you will not perform this experiment by yourself. Okay, so at least when you're doing in the group, at least one person has to execute all those things, and you have to find out in when we ping, that time we capture, we use ICMP protocol. Okay, and when we uh, send something securely, that time we use TCP protocol. When we want to send something at the fast speed, we don't worry about the reliability, then we use UDP protocol. See here in this IP, the header can be of 20 to 60 byte, First part is version, then header length, then service type, then total length, identification, then three flags, fragmentation offset, time to live, higher layer protocol, which we are going to use with this IP, header checksum, then source IP, destination IP, and any option if we are using. All this thing version to this destination IP part, this is of 20 bytes. That is fixed. We can use some option if you want to use. Okay, so that is up to 40 byte we can use. So the same content are captured here. Every protocol, everything which you send in the network uses IP part, IP protocol. This first version 4. This is a header length, 20 bytes. Then differentiated service. This we are using. Then total length is 60. It means 20 bytes of header plus 40 bytes of data we are transmitting along with this. This is the identification number. Then these flags are set. So do not fragment. DF flag is set to 1. It means this packet will not be fragmented. Okay. Then TTL value is 43 only. So this TTL value we can fix depending on where we are sending the packet. If I'm sending to a very far distant location, then I can set 255. 8-bit are used, so maximum value can be 255. And 0 to 255, we can set any value. So 43. It means after 40, after visiting 43 routers, discarded if that packet will not reach to the destination. So every time when that packet will visit one router, that value will be reduced by 1 every time. Okay. And then it will be discarded when it reaches to 0. So in 43 hops or in 43 steps, that packet should reach to the destination, or the packet will be destroyed. It will not keep on roaming continuously in the network. Then this higher layer protocol along with IP, we are using TCP, and the 6 is a code for this TCP protocol. Then header checksum is this total of all those values, whatever values we have put, all those values are added together. That is a header checksum. Then source IP, this is the machine from where we are sending, and to the destination IPs. To this machine we are sending. Okay. And then this is the next TCP wala part. So this is a header format of the TCP. TCP provides your port to port delivery. It provides application to application. Okay. So this uses port number. So this theory and these practical things, these concepts are so interrelated. So if you do not understand that theory part, you will not understand the other part also. So at data link layer, we use MAC address. At the network layer, we use IP address. So here IP address we are using with the IPv4. At the transport layer, we use port numbers. So here in the TCP, we are using port numbers. This is a source port number, destination port number, then this length, then sequence number of that segment which we are sending, that acknowledgement number. Okay. And then these there are 6 flags which are set. So here SYN ACK flags are set. So this three-way handshake, when we'll discuss in the TCP, when we want to send something, we have to priorly establish a connection. This is like telephone line, I told you previously also. So if I want to talk to you, I have to dial your number. You should pick up the call, and once we are connected, then only we can communicate. Okay. So here, when from one machine to another machine, I want to send something using TCP. So from my machine, I will send you SYN flag, SYN. It means I want to communicate to you. You reply me SYN ACK. You are ready to receive my connection. Then again, I will give acknowledgement to your SYN ACK. Then our connection is established. Okay. And after that, we can transmit the data. This is like I dial your number, your phone should ring, you should pick up the call, say hello, and I should say hello. then we are connected, and then we can communicate. The same here happens here in the TCP. So these flags are set for that purpose. So SYN ACK flag is set. It means we send request to them SYN and they replied us. Now this is a response packet from that machine, that machine is ready to accept that connection. Okay. And which machine is this? To which machine we try to establish the connection? We try to establish connection to this machine. So this is a IP address. We try to open two sites in the this browser. So one was google.com and another was that one site I opened. So either of these machine, from this machine we have received this response. Okay, so that machine is also ready to respond, ready to accept the connection. Okay, and then window size. Okay, and checksum. Urgent pointer is set if you want to send something very urgently. Okay, and other options are used. All these are the transport layer TCP header ka packet, the TCP header content. This is clear? Yes, is this clear to anyone? Is this clear to everyone? Anyone has any doubt?
No doubt, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the next part, the next experiment. Okay. The next experiment is about uh, remote login. Remote login is like you are at your home right now, and I'm at my home right now, and we both are working on some project together. Okay. So I can remotely log in your machine and I can work there. Okay. So that is remote login. So different protocols are used for this remote login. Different protocols are used for this remote login. So one of them is Telnet. Telnet is not used nowadays because that is not secure. That is not much secure. Why it's not secure? Because it transmit all the data in a plain text. It transmit all the data in plain text. So if I am transmitting username and password in the plain text and somebody capture the packet using this Wireshark, they will be able to find out my username and the password. Okay. They'll be able to find out my username and the password. So for that, we need two machines. We need two machines. In the lab, we all were connected through the LANs. So everybody was able to log in into others' machine. Here, I have to use two virtual machines. If you want to remotely log into each other's machine, then we need to have that public IP address. The IP address which we are having, that is a private 172 wala range and 192 wala range. That is not going to work. If you both are in the same network, same LAN, then you can log in from one machine to another machine. Like if you two friends are connected in the same network, then you can connect. In the lab, we can connect to all other machines. Okay. But right now, if you want to log in, I want to log into your machine or you want to log into my machine, then we should have that public IP address. We are not having right now, nobody, because what we are taking that IP address from our service provider, and the service provider, I told you, they have to pay for that IP addresses. So they, inside that LAN, inside that network, they provide us this normal private IP address and it is converted and then transmitted. So we cannot perform. But on two virtual machines, we can perform from Red Hat to Ubuntu and Ubuntu to Red Hat. That we can be done. Okay, we can done. The condition for performing this remote login or with this Telnet, the secured version of Telnet is SSH. Okay, SSH is secure, that transmit and receives all the packets which are transmitted and received in the encrypted format. Even if somebody is able to capture using this Wireshark or any other sniffing tool, they will not be able to understand and read those packets. Okay. But in the telnet, everything is transmitted in the plain text. So we are going to use two machines, Red Hat and Ubuntu. From both the machines, we are going to log in from one machine to another machine. One will be acting as a client, one will be acting as a server. So till the time this my machine is going to be turned on, I'll tell you the commands. Okay. What is a prerequisite for the telnet? For telnet, the service should be running in both the machines. Service should be running in both the machines. The port on which that telnet runs should be opened. If that service is running, the port is automatically opened. Okay. And telnet should be enabled. By default, telnet is disabled because it is not secure. Because of security reason, this telnet is not uh, enabled, it is disabled. So it should be enabled in both the machine if you want to communicate. So the first step is to install telnet on Ubuntu machine. It's already installed. Do not try this. I'm just telling you this command, but do not try this, execute this command. This is already installed on your machine. Okay, so this is the command to install. See, now the PC is going to be a bit slow because two virtual machines are running, and I'm having already hardly, I think, 4 GB or 6 GB RAM. Okay, so that's why it's going to be a bit slow. Okay, so kindly bear this. Okay, so the first command to install telnet on Ubuntu machine is sudo apt-get install telnet d space -y. Even if you don't give -y, it's okay. In between it will ask you, do you want to continue? That time you can press y. If you just give this -y that time, then it will not ask that you want to continue or like that. Okay, so this is a command to install telnet on Ubuntu. Telnet D, why we are saying it is a D? Because it is a daemon service. Daemon services are the services which are running in the background. Okay. So once it is installed, we have to check the status. So this is a command to check the status. Okay. So everybody give this command sudo systemctl status inetd. Inetd is the service name for this telnet. Okay, so sudo systemctl status inetd. If it is installed, then this you should give this command. Okay, if it is not installed, then give this command install telnet in your Ubuntu. So everyone, those who are using Ubuntu, check, give this command, and if it is saying active and running, then here we'll give this command here. I'll give you that in the Ubuntu, I'll give this command, and I'll show you what output you should get if your command is, if your telnet is installed. Otherwise, use that first command to install this. So my machine is a bit slow. You people can give this command sudo systemctl status inetd. And if it is saying active and running, then it means it is installed. If it is saying service not found, then give the first command and install. And tell me the status. Okay, so here, right click, open terminal. So here I'll give. See, if you are on the hash prompt, then no need to give this sudo command. If you are on the dollar prompt, then you have to give this sudo. So I'm giving this system ctl status inetd. Here, active and running. You should get this output, active and running. It means telnet service is running on your Ubuntu machine. What is the status of your machine? You tell me. First, you find out the status on this Ubuntu machine and tell me, is it active and running? Or if it is not, then install this. We have 5 minutes for this. Okay, everyone do this. See, to come out of this red hat, see from Ubuntu directly our cursor will come out. But from this red hat it will not come. So you have to press Alt Control together to bring this cursor out of that your machine. Yes. What is the status? Is Telnet installed in your Ubuntu? Is it active and running?
Ma- Ma'am, it is showing no such file or directory.
Then install that using that command.
Ma'am, it is showing this
Discuss
command is wrong.
on Ubuntu you're trying.
Yes, ma'am, it is showing no command atp-get.
A, apt-get. Check the spelling, beta. On Ubuntu we use this apt-get only. Latest versions of Ubuntu generally work on, sometimes it work on only apt only. Just apt is sufficient. Apt install telnet d. That is sufficient on the latest versions.
Yes, ma'am, installing.
Huh. Yes, what about others?
Installing, ma'am.
Yes, is it installing? Okay. So other students, is it already installed? It's active running. Okay, very good. Anurag is installing. Johan, Mitesh, it's running. Okay. Yes, other students, kindly respond. Ubuntu, it's running. Okay. Okay, installing. Okay. Celeb is running. Uttam is installing. Okay. Hmm. Okay, done. Very good. So those who are done, they can find out the IP address of their Ubuntu machine. Okay. Those who are done and those who are having active running, the status is active running, they can find out the IP address. I think you are pasting COA code here, Vita. I don't know who has pasted this. I don't know COA lab. Hmm. Error is coming in this COA code. Hmm. Yes, others? What is the status? Your telnet is installed? Yes. Okay. So till the time your things are demonstrating this thing, I'll tell you the commands. Don't worry. Even if you are not able to follow with me, just understand this thing first. Okay. Hmm. Okay, my Red Hat is giving some error. And for this, your both machine should be in the bridge mode. Okay. So right click on these machines here. Right click on these machines, go to the settings and change both machine into the bridge mode. The Ubuntu can be in the NAT mode. Red Hat is, I think, in already in the bridge mode. Okay, so you change Can you hear me, students, from that laptop? Right now, I
Yes,
joined some.
ma'am.
Am I connected through the laptop also?
Yes.
No, ma'am. Laptop is
Step is find out the IP address of your Ubuntu machine. Second step is bring both the machines, Ubuntu and Red Hat, in the bridge mode. Right click on that machine, go to the settings, click on network adapter, and then change it to bridge mode. Okay, so do these two things. I'm trying to reconnect again using the laptop. So once these two things are done, you let me know. Okay. Okay, done. Okay, very good. The command to install here, this is apt hyphen get. See, even this apt will work if you are using latest version of Ubuntu. Apt get install telnet d space hyphen y. Okay, so this is the command apt hyphen get telnet d y. So this is to install. Okay, and if it is done installation, then next command is to check status. So for checking the status, the command is systemctl. See, if you are not on the hash prompt, then use sudo. If you are on the hash prompt, then you can directly use systemctl. mm, Systemctl space. Okay, I think I got connected.
Ma'am, ma'am, you are not audible.
Now, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am, now audible.
Okay. Huh. Okay. So on Red Hat machine, we have to start the service. Okay, service xinet d start. So this xinet d is the service name of telnet in Red Hat. In Ubuntu, the service name is inetd, which we started here. Okay, you can see here we started this service systemctl status inetd. Okay, so here I'll minimize this and I will open new terminal and I will find out the IP address of this machine. So the username and the password of the machine, remote machine where I want to log in. So I want to log in here. Username is Ubuntu and the password is also Ubuntu. Okay. Now I am connected. Okay. Now whatever work I will do here is done in the Ubuntu machine, not on this Red Hat machine. Okay. Now you see here Ubuntu @Ubuntu. Can you see this thing? Now I have logged in to Ubuntu machine from my Red Hat. So if I give here command ls, so you can see the list of files directories of Ubuntu machine. Okay. So here first I would like to become super user. So sudo space -s. Okay. And now it will ask for the password. So password is Ubuntu. Now I'll give command ls. So here all these files and directories of Ubuntu machine I can see. So on the desktop I would like to go. So I'll go change directory cd desktop. Okay. And if I give ls command here, you see these files. Can you see these files? And all these files are available on this Ubuntu. You see here? Hmm. Okay, see here, all these files I can see from the Red Hat machine. Now on Red Hat machine, I can open any of these files. I can delete any of these files. I can modify any file. Let's make a directory there on the Red Hat machine. So we'll make a directory mkdir and we'll make the directory SEIT telnet. Okay, SEIT telnet. Press enter. Now go to Ubuntu machine and check on the desktop. Is there a directory created? Yes, no?
yes, ma'am.
Now, we can delete this directory. We can create file in this directory. We can create files there. We can shut down even this machine from there. We can restart. We cannot restart because that time service will also stop. Okay. We can shut down this machine. We can delete all these files. Okay. We can change these files, we can create new files here because now remotely I have logged in from this machine to this machine. Now both machines are in my same virtual machine. These two machines can be at two different places, in two different cities, two different countries. Okay, this is the advantage of remote login. Remotely I can log in into a machine, and again I should have that access rights. See here I am a super user, so I can do anything, the whole machine I can access. But if you want to make me limit to some particular files, that only I can access. Okay. Then you can create a username and a password, and according to that username password, whatever are the files allowed to access, that only I can access. But again, using some illegal techniques, I can accelerate my privileges and I can become a super user of your machine, and then I can destroy your machine, use your machine, whatever I want to do. So are you able to log in using this from your Red Hat to Ubuntu? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can create directory there, you can delete directories. Okay, and in this thing we didn't start the packet capturing. Okay, we didn't start the packet capturing in this Ubuntu machine. If we start packet capturing in Ubuntu machine, then you can read username and password. Should we do that, or you will do it by yourself? Should we do that? That username password we enter na Ubuntu, that we'll be able to read. Okay, we have to just filter the packet, the telnet. So here I'm exiting from this. I'm just exiting from this machine. Okay, so now I am not connected. Okay, so on Ubuntu machine, I'll open terminal and I'll start Wireshark here. So I'll start Wireshark here, and or we can start Wireshark the Red Hat also. At any place you can start. Okay. So we'll start capturing here. Now from this Ubuntu machine, we will try to telnet again. So it started capturing properly. Capturing, na? Yes, okay. So here I'll enter Ubuntu. Then password. Okay, now we logged in. Okay, and here in Ubuntu machine, okay, these telnet data, telnet packets we have captured. So we will stop capturing and stop capturing and just filter to see only telnet packets only. Okay, so all these are telnet packets, and in this data part, okay, you have to see every packet you see where login starts. Okay, we will just make this in the data part. Okay, we'll see where that login start, login keyword. Look for the login keyword. You see here Ubuntu login. After that, the next packet you see. Okay, so I entered username as a Ubuntu. First letter you can see it transmitting character by character. So U B username we are reading. Then Ubuntu U N T U. So Ubuntu. Okay, we were able to see the complete username here. समझ में आ रहा है? Then we'll look for the password. Okay, we'll look for the password. See from here the password starting. So password was also Ubuntu U B. You just look at this last character B U N T U. Got it? Yes, no.
Yes, ma'am.
So this username password which is being transmitted in a plain text, if somebody is able to capture that packet, they will get the username and the password and IP address also. Okay. So if they have our IP address, username, password, they can remotely log in into our machine, and then they can, from here they'll get the IP address, password, the MAC address. From here they'll get everything, all information, whatever is required, they'll get it from here. Username, password from here they'll get, and then they can remotely log in, enter into our machine, and then see here you can see the data part U in this packet. In this the data is T. In this you can see data is N. See this part. Okay. Oh. And it is transmitting word by word, bit by bit, like character by character. And see, for every character, we are sending these so many headers. For every character, we are sending so many headers. Okay. So that's why this telnet is disabled by default. It is not used. The remote login version is used, that is SSH. Okay. And SSH, you will be able to capture, but the data part which is here in the plain text will be encrypted. So that is the difference. समझ में आया हमने क्या किया? Is this clear? What is remote login? What is telnet? Why it is not safe? How to capture? How to read that content of that packet? Is this clear? क्या? What is the question? Unable to locate packet. Telnet D hyphen Y. apt install telnet D space hyphen Y. You have to you are using Ubuntu, na? The same version which I am using. Okay, then it should install. Unable to locate telnet D. Telnet D spelling तो ठीक है. They can you can present, but I don't. apt or apt get install telnet D hyphen Y. Is your device in the bridge mode? Connected to the internet? Connected to the internet? Okay, others. Is this clear for everyone? So both the experiments are clear. So assignments I'll post on our group classroom. Okay. So after that, we are left with two socket programs. So that socket programs, for that I have to teach you that concept of the port. So that is on the transport layer. And one program is left with the NS2. That is in that routing protocols we have to implement. Okay. So routing protocol we will try to cover in this week. I want one extra lecture in this week. You tell me whenever it is possible, when you are free, at what time you can give me. Like Prathamesh, you just please find out and tell me. Okay, so whenever it is possible, at least one extra lecture in this week, because we are left with so much of the syllabus, we won't be able to finish it. Prathamesh is present today. And all these experiments, what you are going to do, step by step you have to write, and you have to take the screenshots, whatever the activity you are performing now, that command you are giving, the output you are getting. So you have to paste the screenshot and prepare the Word document and submit. And the previous experiments also, those who are not submitted, please submit. Okay. And I'll post theory assignment also. 2 theory assignments you have to write. One we will post, one is till now whatever we have covered, one will post. After that, transport layer will be finished. Theory assignment, you have to write with your hand and you have to post that PDF on our classroom. Okay, with your, on the front page, every page should contain your name, your seat number, okay, and your XI ID. This is this clear in the second code na, yeah, in that second code, Johan, there is mistake. One mistake is just check that finished procedure. Okay, in finished procedure, we have taken only one variable there. So we have to take 2 or 3 variables. एक मिनट में ना experiment number 4 का code मैं share करती हूँ वहाँ पे classroom पे. Okay, so that one thing you have to change. And second thing, you have to change when we are that code where we are writing that full duplex line na, so there I have used only one name, that n1 n1 n1, so that we have to change. Okay, so that updated code I'll upload on our classroom. There are 2 mistakes in that code. It's saying package list done, building dependency reading done, but unable to locate. Are you connected to the internet? Because it should download from the internet. So you do one thing, you remove the package sudo apt remove telnet d. So whatever traces you have, you will remove that. Okay, and after that, just check whether your device is connected to the internet. Okay, and your device, that even virtual machine, there you are able to access internet. Okay, and then try again sudo apt install telnet d y. Okay, because network connection is required inside this virtual machine also na. You just google search something and or open this browser or try to open this thing, then bring your both the machines into the bridge mode. Okay, and then you remove this telnet d and then you try to install it again. Okay, Shubham, so give me attendance.